"Who slapped you?" asked the Mafia boss. By morning, the restaurant was shut down. The handprint on Kamara Williams' face burns like a brand. 5 fingers outlined in crimson against her dark brown skin. She stands in the climate-controlled wine cellar of Rossi's, Boston's most exclusive Italian restaurant, surrounded by bottles worth more than most people earn in a year, and tries to remember how to breathe. Her hands shake as she reaches for a 2015 Barolo, the bottle she'd recommended for Table 12's anniversary dinner, the bottle that started everything, the bottle that made Gianna Rossi's perfectly manicured hand crack across Kamara's face, hard enough to echo through the dining room. 29 years old. Cornell educated. One of only 200 certified sommeliers in the world, and she just got slapped like a disobedient child in front of the entire staff, the kitchen crew, and half the dining room. Kamara sets the bottle down carefully, her reflection distorted in its dark glass. The left side of her face throbs with each heartbeat, a perfect impression of Gianna's fingers visible even in the dim cellar lighting. She can still hear Gianna's voice, sharp with that Italian accent that sounds beautiful when she's charming clients, and ugly when she's exercising power. "You don't contradict me in my restaurant. I don't care what fancy degree you bought or what certification you think makes you special. This is my family's establishment. You're just help. Do you understand me? Help." The words hurt worse than the slap, because Gianna knew exactly where to strike, not just physically, but emotionally. Knew that calling Kamara help in front of everyone would reduce her expertise, her education, her years of training to nothing more than servitude. Kamara presses her palms against the cool stone wall, focusing on the sensation to ground herself. She needs this job. Needs it desperately. Student loans $87,000 still outstanding, despite 5 years of payments. Her mother's nursing home in Atlanta Brookside, the only facility that specializes in early-onset Alzheimer's, $4,500 a month. Her apartment in Roxbury, the neighborhood that's improving, which is code for gentrifying, which means her rent will jump another $400 next lease renewal. She can't afford to lose this position. Can't afford to report what happened. Can't afford to be the angry black woman who makes waves and gets labeled difficult and never works in fine dining again. So she'll count bottles. She'll compose herself. She'll go back upstairs with her face burning and her dignity shattered. And she'll continue doing her job with excellence, because that's what she does. That's what she's always done. Be twice as good to get half as far. The wine cellar door opens. Kamara doesn't turn around. She can't let anyone see her like this. Can't let them see the tears she's been holding back. Can't let them witness her moment of weakness. In this industry, weakness is blood in the water. The 1997 Sassicaia. The voice is male, deep with an Italian accent that's completely different from Gianna's. Older, richer, more controlled. Third shelf left side. That's what you were going to recommend for table 7, wasn't it? Not the Barolo. The Sassicaia. Kamara's breath catches in her throat. She knows that voice. Has heard it every Thursday evening for the past 6 months. Always ordering in perfect Italian. Always requesting her wine recommendations. Always leaving tips that make the other servers jealous. She turns slowly, reluctantly, her professional mask already sliding into place, despite the handprint blazing across her face. Luca Vitelli stands in the doorway. He's 45 years old, though the silver threading through his dark hair and the sharp angles of his face make him look both distinguished and dangerous. Tonight he's wearing a charcoal suit that probably costs more than her monthly rent, a white shirt open at the collar, no tie. His eyes are so dark they're almost black, and right now they're fixed on her face, with an intensity that makes her want to simultaneously hide and stand straighter. Luca Vitelli. Thursday night regular. Always table 9. Always alone. Always ordering dishes that pair perfectly with the wines she recommends. He tips 50% and writes handwritten notes on the receipt praising her selections. The 2012 Brunello was transcendent with the Osso Bucco. You have a gift, Miss Williams. He's also, according to whispered conversations among the staff, the head of the Vitelli crime family. The man who controls half of Boston's North End. The reason certain restaurants stay protected. Certain suppliers never have problems. Certain politicians stay friendly to Italian business interests. The man everyone is terrified of except the servers who benefit from his generous tips and the chefs, who appreciate that he actually understands food. Mr. Vitelli. Kamara's voice comes out steadier than she feels. I'm sorry, I was just taking inventory. I'll be back upstairs in a moment to assist with, who slapped you? He interrupts. His tone is conversational, almost gentle. The same tone he uses when asking about wine vintages or complimenting the chef's technique. But there's something underneath it. Something that makes the temperature in the wine cellar seem to drop 10 degrees. Something that suggests the gentle tone is a very thin veneer over something much more dangerous. It's nothing, Mr. Vitelli. The words come automatically. The trained response of someone who's learned not to make waves. Just a misunderstanding. I'm fine, really. You're not fine. He takes one step into the wine cellar, and in the confined space surrounded by racks of expensive bottles, he seems enormous. Not just tall, he's maybe 6'2", but substantial, solid, commanding in a way that has nothing to do with physical size and everything to do with presence. And it wasn't a misunderstanding. Someone put their hands on you. Someone hit you hard enough to leave a mark that will be visible for days. Kamara wants to deny it, wants to minimize it, wants to do what she's been trained to do, make herself smaller, make the problem smaller, make everything smaller, so she can survive and keep her job and pay her bills. But Luca takes another step closer, and his eyes lock onto hers with such focused intensity that lying suddenly feels impossible. I can't, she whispers. Mr. Vitelli, I can't afford to lose this job. My mother is in a nursing home. I have student loans. Who? Slapped? You. Each word is delivered separately, carefully, with that same gentle tone that's becoming more terrifying with each syllable because she can hear what's beneath it now. Rage. Cold, controlled, absolutely lethal rage. Kamara's throat tightens. She should walk away. Should refuse to answer. Should protect herself from whatever's about to happen, because nothing good can come from telling this man, this dangerous, powerful man, who everyone whispers about what happened. But he takes one more step, close enough now that she can smell his cologne, something expensive and understated, and he reaches out slowly, telegraphing his movement, giving her every opportunity to move away. His hand is warm when it gently cups her jaw, tilting her face toward the overhead light. His thumb doesn't touch the handprint, but he studies it with the focused attention of someone memorizing evidence, of someone cataloging details that will matter later. Gianna, he says. Not a question. A statement of fact. Kamara doesn't confirm or deny. Doesn't need to. Her silence is answer enough. Why? His voice hasn't changed, still that same gentle conversational tone. But his jaw has tightened in a way that suggests he's holding something back with considerable effort. Something violent. I suggested a different wine than she wanted, Kamara hears herself say. She doesn't know why she's telling him. Doesn't understand why this man's quiet fury on her behalf is making all her carefully constructed walls crumble. For a client's anniversary dinner, they'd ordered the Branzino and she wanted me to recommend the 2010 Barolo. But that's completely wrong for delicate fish. The tannins would overwhelm it. I suggested the 2015 instead, or better yet, the 1997 Sassicaia you mentioned. Something with more elegance. She's babbling now, falling back into the technical language that feels safe. The client was celebrating 40 years of marriage. They deserved a perfect pairing, not just whatever Gianna wanted to push, because the distributor gave her a better price on the 2010. Luca's thumb moves slightly, not touching her bruised skin, but tracing the air just above it. You were doing your job. Your job as one of 200 certified sommeliers in the world. Your job as someone with more knowledge about wine in your little finger than Gianna has in her entire, overprivileged head. Kamara's eyes widen. He knows about her certification, knows it's rare, has apparently been paying much closer attention than she realized. Miss Williams, he continues. And there's something in the way he says her name with respect, with weight that makes her chest tighten. How long have you been working here? 14 months. Why is she answering? Why can't she seem to stop? And how many times has Gianna put her hands on you? The question is asked so casually, as if he already knows the answer, as if he's simply confirming fact. Kamara's throat goes dry. This was the first time she actually slapped me, but she's grabbed my arm before, pushed me when I was too slow bringing up bottles. thrown a corkscrew at me once when I suggested we were serving a wine too warm. The words are tumbling out now, confessions she's never made to anyone. I need this job, Mr. Vitelli. I can't afford to make trouble. If I report this, if I push back, she'll fire me. She'll make sure I never work in fine dining again. She has connections, and you're just what? His voice sharpened slightly. You're just one of the most talented sommeliers in Boston? You're just someone who can identify a wine vintage by smell alone? You're just the reason half my business associates now insist on dining here. Because I mentioned your recommendations? Kamara stares at him. You've been recommending this restaurant because of me? I've been coming here every Thursday for 6 months because of you. Luca says it simply, as if it's obvious. The food is excellent, yes, but Boston has a dozen Italian restaurants with excellent food. This is the only one with you. The wine cellar suddenly feels too small, too warm despite the climate control, too intimate with this dangerous man standing so close, his hand still gently cradling her jaw, his dark eyes fixed on her face like she's something precious. I don't understand, Kamara whispers. I know. Luca's smile is small, almost sad. But you're about to. Because what happened tonight, what Gianna did to you, that was the last mistake she'll make in this city. Mr. Vitelli, please. Panic flares in Kamara's chest. I'm begging you, don't confront her. If you say something, she'll fire me. She'll blacklist me. I'll lose everything I've worked for. My mother needs me. I can't. You won't lose anything, Luca interrupts. And there's such absolute certainty in his voice that it cuts through her panic. But Gianna Rossi is going to lose everything. He releases her face and pulls out his phone. Kamara watches, frozen, as he makes the first call. Antonio. His voice is calm, businesslike. The Rossi property. I want a health inspection team there at 6 a.m. Full inspection. And while you're at it, contact our friends at the Liquor Authority. I believe Rossi's has been serving after hours. Multiple violations. Also, pull their business license applications. I want to know if everything is properly documented. He hangs up, makes another call. Marco, Gianna Rossi. I need everything, her commercial lease details, who holds the property, what their other business interests are, whether they owe anyone any favors, and find out who she banks with. I want to know about any outstanding loans, lines of credit, anything that could be called in. Another call. The line of credit Rossi's uses for their food suppliers, I want it pulled. Tonight. By morning, they shouldn't be able to order a single tomato. Another. Tax records for Rossi's for the past 5 years. I want an audit. A thorough one. Another. Employee complaints. There have to be others. Find them. Document them. I want a case file that could bury her. Another. That property developer who's been trying to acquire the Rossi building for his North End project, tell him I'm interested in facilitating that sale. Another. Fire marshal's office. I want that building inspected. Top to bottom. I'm sure we'll find violations. He makes 7 calls in total. Each one delivered in the same calm, conversational tone. Each one systematically dismantling Gianna Rossi's business, piece by piece. Health inspections, liquor license revocation, tax audits, lease terminations, supply line cuts, fire code violations, financial investigations. When he's done, he slides his phone back into his pocket and looks at Kamara with those dark, unreadable eyes. By morning, Rossi's will be shut down, he says simply. Health violations will close the kitchen. The liquor license will be revoked pending investigation. The lease will be terminated for breach of code violations. Supply lines will be cut for non-payment. Tax auditors will discover irregularities that will take months to resolve. And Gianna Rossi will wake up to find that her family's restaurant, her pride, her power base, her identity no longer exists. Kamara can't breathe, can't process what she just witnessed. You can't destroy someone's business because they slapped me. I can, Luca says quietly. I am. It's already done. But Kamara's mind is reeling. Mr. Vitelli, this is insane. This is justice, he interrupts. This is what happens when someone touches something that matters to me. And you, Kamara Williams, matter to me. The use of her first name, the way he says it, like it's something precious, makes Kamara's breath catch. You don't even know me, she whispers. Don't I? Luca takes one step closer, and now they're standing so close, she has to tilt her head back to maintain eye contact. I know you're brilliant. I know you have a gift for wine that borders on supernatural. You can smell a bottle from across the room and identify not just the vintage but the specific vineyard, the weather conditions of that growing season, the barrel it aged in. I know you studied at Cornell on scholarship because your family couldn't afford the tuition. I know your mother has early onset Alzheimer's, and you visit her every other weekend despite the 8-hour round trip to Atlanta. I know you live in a modest apartment in Roxbury and walk to work to save on gas money. I know you pack your lunch every day and eat in the break room because you can't afford the staff meal discount. Kamara's eyes widen with each detail. How do you? I make it my business to know about people who matter, Luca says simply. And you've mattered to me since the first Thursday. You recommended that 2012 Brunello di Montalcino and explained why it would pair better with the Osso Bucco than the wine I'd selected. You mattered when you sent over that 1,985 Barolo with a note saying it was compliments of the house, because somehow you'd researched my late business partner's birthday and knew I was mourning. You've mattered every Thursday for 6 months, when you've treated me like a person who appreciates good wine instead of a criminal who signs checks. You are a criminal who signs checks, Kamara points out, her voice barely above a whisper. I am, Luca acknowledges without shame. I run half the illegal operations in Boston's North End. I make problems disappear. I hurt people who cross me. I'm not a good man, Kamara, but I'm a man who recognizes excellence when he sees it, who appreciates genuine talent and hard work, who understands the difference between people who demand respect and people who earn it. He reaches out again, and this time when his hand cups her face, his thumb very gently brushes her cheekbone just below the handprint. You earn it, he says quietly. Every day, every wine you select, every client you educate, every moment you maintain your grace and professionalism despite working for a woman who treats you like property. You earn respect, Kamara. And what Gianna did tonight, putting her hands on you, humiliating you, treating you like you're less than that, was unforgivable. So you're going to destroy her entire life? Kamara's voice shakes. Mr. Vitelli, I appreciate that you're angry on my behalf, but this is too much. This is exactly proportional, Luca interrupts. Gianna Rossi has built her business on the backs of people she exploits. She underpays staff, overcharges clients, cuts corners on everything from food safety to labor laws. She's gotten away with it because her family name opens doors, and because people are afraid to challenge her. But she made a mistake tonight. She touched someone under my protection. I'm not under your protection, Kamara protests weakly. Yes, Luca says firmly, you are. You've been under my protection since the first Thursday you smiled at me and asked if I preferred bold or elegant wines. You just didn't know it. And Gianna certainly didn't know it, but she does now. By morning, everyone in Boston will know it. Kamara's legs feel weak. She reaches out to steady herself against the wine rack, and Luca's hand immediately moves to her elbow, supporting her weight with gentle strength. You need to sit down, he observes, and you need that handprint documented for the assault lawsuit you're going to file. I can't sue her, Kamara says desperately. Mr. Vitelli, I don't have money for lawyers. I can't afford. My lawyers will handle it. Pro bono. By the time they're done, Gianna won't just lose her business, she'll lose everything. Her reputation, her assets, possibly her freedom, if we find enough labor law violations. Which we will. This is insane, Kamara breathes. This is completely insane. Is it? Luca's dark eyes search her face. Is it insane that someone should face consequences for assault? For systematically abusing employees? For running a business built on exploitation and getting away with it because of her family name? No, but is it insane that you should be protected? That your brilliance should be valued? That someone should care enough about you to ensure you never have to tolerate being treated this way again? Kamara doesn't have an answer. Can't find words past the lump in her throat. I'm going to ask you something, Luca says quietly. And I need you to answer honestly. Are you afraid of me right now? Kamara looks at him, really looks at him. At the controlled fury still simmering in his dark eyes. At the careful way he's touching her, supporting her weight but ready to release her the moment she indicates discomfort. At the 7 phone calls he just made, dismantling someone's life with the same calm efficiency he uses to order wine. She should be terrified, should be running from this man and his dangerous promises and his casual destruction of everything in his path. But all she feels is safe, protected, valued in a way she's never experienced before. "No," she whispers, "I'm not afraid of you." Something shifts in Luca's expression, something that looks almost like relief. "Good," he says, "because I'm going to take you to get that handprint documented now, and then I'm going to take you home. And tomorrow, while Gianna Rossi's world is falling apart, you're going to rest. You're going to take the week off. With pay, I'll handle it. And when you're ready, we're going to discuss your future." "My future?" "Your wine bar," Luca says, as if this was already decided. "In the North End. I have a property corner location, perfect for what I'm envisioning. You'll have complete creative control. Your name on the door. Your rules. Your expertise celebrated instead of exploited." Kamara's head is spinning. "I don't have capital to start a business. I can't possibly." "I have capital," Luca interrupts. "I'll cover the build-out, the initial inventory, the licensing fees, the first year's operating costs. You'll have a salary that actually reflects your worth. Health insurance. A retirement plan. Everything Gianna should have been providing but wasn't." "Why?" The word comes out broken. "Why would you do this for me? You barely know me." Luca's hand slides from her elbow to take her hand, his grip warm and solid and steadier than anything she's felt all night. "I know enough," he says quietly. "I know you're extraordinary. I know you deserve better than this. And I know," he pauses, and for the first time since entering the wine cellar, he looks almost uncertain. "I know that what I feel for you is complicated, and probably inappropriate given our positions, and definitely something we need to discuss when you're not in shock, and I'm not systematically destroying someone's life." "What you feel for me?" Kamara's voice is barely audible. "Kamara." He says her name like it costs him something. "I've been coming to this restaurant every Thursday for 6 months, because spending 1 hour in your presence is the closest I get to feeling normal, to feeling like something other than what I am, to feeling like maybe there's a version of myself that could be worthy of someone like you." The wine cellar is completely silent, except for the soft hum of the climate control system and Kamara's shallow breathing. "Someone like me," she repeats slowly. "Brilliant," Luca says, his dark eyes never leaving her face. "Kind despite having every reason not to be. Excellent at what you do without apology. Someone who treats people with dignity regardless of their position or power. Someone who sees me a criminal, a man people fear, and simply asks if I prefer bold or elegant wines." He lifts her hand, and for a moment she thinks he might kiss it, but instead he just holds it carefully, like something precious. "You made me feel human," he continues quietly. "Every Thursday. Every wine recommendation accompanied by education instead of pretension. Every genuine smile when I arrived, like you were actually happy to see me rather than afraid or calculating what you could gain. You have no idea what that's meant to me. So you're going to destroy Gianna's business because..." Kamara trails off, trying to understand. "Because she hurt you," Luca finishes simply. "Because someone who matters to me was harmed. Because I have the power to ensure it never happens again, and I'm choosing to use that power. Because I'm exactly what people say, I am a dangerous man who makes problems disappear. But for you, Kamara, I want to be more than that. I want to be someone who builds instead of destroys, who protects instead of threatens, who gives you the space to be brilliant without limitation." "The wine bar," Kamara says slowly, understanding dawning. "The wine bar is me trying to be better," Luca acknowledges, "trying to create something beautiful instead of just eliminating things that displease me. But Gianna," his jaw tightens, "Gianna gets the other side of me. The side that doesn't forgive. The side that makes examples. The side that ensures everyone in this city understands that touching you has consequences." Kamara should be horrified, should be rejecting this, rejecting him, rejecting the violent protection he's offering. Instead, she squeezes his hand. "Okay," she whispers. "Okay?" Luca's eyebrows raise slightly. "Okay. You can take me to get the handprint documented. Okay, I'll take the week off. Okay, we can discuss the wine bar." She takes a shaking breath, Okay, we can talk about whatever this is between us when I'm not in shock, and you're not planning someone's destruction. Something blazes in Luca's eyes. Not quite a smile, but close. Dangerous answer, Kamara. Why? Because now I know you're not running, and that makes everything I'm about to do feel justified instead of excessive. He pulls out his phone again, makes one more call. Marco, I need a car at the Rossi service entrance in 5 minutes. And contact Dr. Russo. Tell him I'm bringing someone who needs photographic documentation of assault injuries. Tonight. I don't care if he's sleeping. He hangs up and looks at Kamara. Ready? What about my shift? I'm scheduled until closing. If I just leave, Gianna can handle it herself, Luca says with dark satisfaction. Consider it practice for tomorrow, when she has no staff, because no one will work for someone facing multiple lawsuits and criminal investigations. He guides Kamara toward the wine cellar door, his hand steady at the small of her back. When they emerge into the restaurant's back hallway, several staff members are lingering, clearly having heard about the slap. They stare at Kamara, walking beside Luca Vitelli, at his proprietary hand on her back, at the way he's clearly protecting her. Antonio, the sous chef, meets Kamara's eyes and nods once, a gesture of respect, of understanding, of solidarity. They exit through the service entrance into the cool Boston night. A black Mercedes is already waiting, Marco himself at the wheel. He takes one look at Kamara's face, and his expression goes carefully blank in that way. That suggests he's seen violence before, and knows how to process it. Luca opens the back door for Kamara, helps her inside with careful gentleness, then slides in beside her. The car pulls away from Rossi's, and Kamara watches through the window as the restaurant she's worked at for 14 months grows smaller in the distance. By tomorrow, it'll be shut down? She asks quietly. By noon, Luca confirms. The health inspector will arrive at 6 a.m. The violations are real. Gianna's been cutting corners for years. The liquor authority will show up at 9 a.m. with documentation of after-hours serving. The fire marshal at 10 a.m. with code violations. By noon, she'll have 3 different government agencies shutting her down, plus news of the tax audit, plus her lease being terminated, plus her suppliers cutting her off. And the lawsuit? My lawyers will file first thing Monday morning. Assault, workplace harassment, labor law violations. By the time we're done deposing her current and former employees, we'll have a case file 6 inches thick. Kamara leans back against the leather seat, exhaustion hitting her like a wave. This is really happening. Yes. Luca's hand finds hers in the darkness of the back seat. Is that okay? She should say no. Should stop this. Should be the bigger person. Instead, she thinks about Gianna's hand cracking across her face, about being called help in front of everyone, about 14 months of being grabbed, pushed, belittled, exploited, about every other employee who suffered the same treatment and stayed silent because they needed the job. Yes, Kamara says. It's okay. Dr. Russo's waiting at a private medical office in the North End, clearly roused from sleep but too professional to complain. He photographs Kamara's face from multiple angles, documenting the perfect handprint. He checks her jaw, her neck, examines her arms where Gianna has grabbed her in the past, and finds fading bruises. This wasn't the first time, Dr. Russo observes, making notes. No, Kamara admits, but it was the worst. These photographs will hold up in court, Dr. Russo tells Luca, along with my medical report documenting injuries consistent with assault. If you need me to testify, I will. Thank you, doctor. Luca shakes his hand, and Kamara watches the exchange, understanding that Dr. Russo isn't just any physician, he's someone in Luca's network, someone who owes him loyalty, someone who will provide expert testimony because Luca Vitelli asked. Marco drives them to Kamara's apartment in Roxbury, a modest 1-bedroom on the 3rd floor of a building that's seen better days. Kamara is acutely aware of the contrast between her life and Luca's as she unlocks the door to reveal her small, tidy space, second-hand furniture, wine books stacked everywhere, a single photograph of her mother on the mantel. It's not much, she says automatically. It's you, Luca replies, looking around with genuine interest. All these books, you study even when you're not working. Wine changes constantly, Kamara explains. New vintages, new techniques, new regions. If I'm going to be the best, I have to keep learning. You already are the best, Luca says. He turns to face her in the small living room. Kamara, I need to go. I have things to arrange for tomorrow. But I want you to promise me something. What? If anyone from Rossi's contacts you, Gianna, her lawyers, anyone, you call me immediately. Don't engage, don't explain, don't apologize. Just call me. He produces a business card, writes a number on the back. My personal cell, it's always on. Kamara takes the card with trembling fingers. Okay. And rest, Luca continues. Really rest. Read your books. Visit your mother if you want, I'll arrange a car. But don't think about Rossi's. Don't worry about money. Don't stress about your future. Just breathe. That's asking a lot, Kamara says with a weak smile. I know. He reaches out, gently tucking a stray curl behind her ear. But you've earned it. You've been surviving on your own for so long, Kamara. Let someone take care of you for once. She wants to argue, wants to maintain her independence. But she's so tired, and his hand is so gentle. And for the first time and longer than she can remember, someone is offering to help without expecting anything in return. Okay, she whispers. I'll rest. Good. Luca drops his hand reluctantly. I'll call you tomorrow with updates. And, Kamara, he pauses at the door. Thank you. For what? For not running. For trusting me. For... He stops, struggles with words in a way that humanizes him. For 6 months of Thursday nights that reminded me who I wanted to be instead of just who I am. Then he's gone. And Kamara is alone in her apartment, with a handprint on her face, a business card in her hand, and the growing understanding that her life just changed completely. She doesn't sleep that night. Instead, she sits by the window, watching Boston's lights and processing everything that happened. The slap, the wine cellar, Luca's careful questions and explosive response. 7 phone calls that dismantled a business. The promise of a wine bar with her name on it. His confession that she matters to him. At 6 a.m., her phone buzzes with a text from an unknown number. Health inspector just arrived at Rossi's. Multiple violations found in first 20 minutes. Kitchen shut down, Marco. At 9 a.m., liquor authority on site. License suspended pending investigation. Marco. At 10 a.m., fire marshal red, tagging the building. Egress violations, electrical problems. Marco. At 10:47 a.m., Gianna Rossi just called emergency staff meeting. Half the team walked out. Marco. At 11:30 a.m., building owner terminating lease effective immediately. Rossi's is done. Marco. At 12:15 p.m., her phone rings. Luca's voice is calm when she answers. It's over. Rossi's is shut down. Multiple government agencies involved. Gianna is facing investigations that will take months to resolve. The property is being acquired by a developer. The restaurant is finished. That fast? Kamara breathes. I'm very good at what I do, Luca says simply. How are you feeling? I don't know, Kamara admits. Relieved? Guilty? Scared? All of it? That's normal. Can I take you to dinner tonight? Somewhere quiet. Somewhere we can talk. Kamara hesitates. This is moving so fast. Yesterday she was a sommelier at an Italian restaurant. Today that restaurant is destroyed, and she's being offered a business, and the Mafia boss who did it wants to take her to dinner. Okay, she hears herself say. I'll pick you up at 7. There's a smile in his voice. And Kamara, wear something comfortable. This isn't business. This is me trying to do something normal. Like a regular person taking someone to dinner. You're not a regular person. No, he agrees. But for you, I want to try. The dinner is at a small family restaurant in the North End. Nothing fancy. Just good food and quiet conversation. Luca is different here, more relaxed. Less carefully controlled. He tells her about growing up in Boston. About his father who ran the family business before him. About the choices he made that led him to where he is. I'm not going to lie to you, he says over pasta that's simple and perfect. I'm not a good man. I've hurt people. I've broken laws. I've done things I can't take back, and wouldn't if I could, because they protected my family and my interests. But, Kamara prompts, but with you, I want to be better. Not reformed, I can't change what I am, but focused differently. Building things instead of just maintaining power. The wine bar isn't charity, Kamara. It's selfish. It's me wanting to create something beautiful that has your name on it. Something I can point to and think, I helped make that possible. Because you make me want to be worthy of the way you look at me. How do I look at you? Kamara asks softly. Like I'm just a man who appreciates good wine, Luca says. Not a criminal, not someone to fear, just a man. Kamara sets down her fork, meets his dark eyes across the table. What if you're both? What if you're a criminal and a man who appreciates good wine? What if you're dangerous and someone who wants to build something beautiful? What if you're all of it? Then what? Luca leans forward slightly. Then, I stop trying to make you fit into categories that make sense and just accept who you actually are. Kamara surprises herself with the words. You destroyed Gianna's business to protect me. That's violent. But you're also offering me opportunities I could never achieve on my own. That's generous. You make people afraid. But you've been nothing but gentle with me. You're complicated, Mr. Vitelli. Luca, he corrects quietly. When it's just us, I'm just Luca. Luca, Kamara repeats, and watches something shift in his expression at hearing his name in her voice. I'm not going to pretend I understand everything you are, but I know what you've been to me, and that matters. Over the next week, while Gianna Rossi's world collapses, Kamara rests. She visits her mother in Atlanta, sitting beside her bed and telling her about the handsome Italian man who's turning her life upside down. Her mother doesn't remember Kamara most days, but she smiles when Kamara describes Luca's careful gentleness. Marco drives her there and back, never intrusive but always present. Protective in that same way Luca is protective, quiet, capable, absolutely lethal if necessary. When Kamara returns to Boston, Luca takes her to the North End property. It's perfect, a corner location with floor-to-ceiling windows, exposed brick, enough space for an intimate wine bar with maybe 20 seats. A place that could showcase exceptional wines in a setting that feels welcoming rather than pretentious. What do you think? Luca asks, watching her walk through the empty space. I think it's perfect, Kamara breathes. I think I could create something special here. Then it's yours. He hands her a folder. The lease is in your name. The business license applications are started. I've set up accounts for build-out costs. All you have to do is design it. Make it exactly what you want. Kamara looks at the papers, at the possibility laid out in legal documents and architectural plans. Why are you doing this? Because you deserve it, Luca says simply. Because the world should have more places where brilliance is celebrated instead of exploited. Because I want to walk into a wine bar someday and see your name on the door, and know that I helped make that possible. What do you get out of it? Kamara presses. Luca steps closer, and in the empty space that will become her wine bar, he cups her face with both hands, careful of the fading handprint that's turned from red to purple to yellow-green. I get Thursday nights, he says quietly. I get to sit at your bar and watch you do what you love. I get to see you succeed without limitation. I get to be the person you call when you're excited or frustrated or just want to share something about a new vintage you discovered. I get you, Kamara. However you're willing to let me have you. That's a lot to offer for Thursday nights, Kamara whispers. You're worth considerably more than Thursday nights, Luca replies. But I'll take what you're willing to give. Kamara thinks about everything that's happened. About the slap that started it all. About Luca's 7 phone calls that destroyed a business. About his gentle hands and his violent protection. About the way he looks at her like she's something precious. She thinks about being practical. About protecting herself. About not rushing into something with a dangerous man who makes problems disappear. Then she stops thinking and kisses him. Luca goes very still for 1 heartbeat. 2. As if he can't quite believe it's happening. Then his arms wrap around her waist, pulling her close, and he kisses her back with a hunger that's been building for 6 months of Thursday nights and careful distance. When they finally break apart, both breathing hard, Luca rests his forehead against hers. Dangerous woman, he murmurs. I learned from the best, Kamara replies. 3 months later, Kamara's opens in the North End to reviews that call it intimate, sophisticated, and a revelation. Wine Spectator features Kamara in an article about exceptional young sommeliers. The Boston Globe runs a piece about her journey from Cornell to her own establishment. No one mentions Rossi's, which closed in scandal and is now being demolished to make way for condominiums. No one mentions Gianna Rossi, who left Boston to live with relatives in California after settling the assault lawsuit and multiple other legal issues. No one mentions Luca Vitelli's involvement, though everyone in the North End knows whose money built the wine bar. and whose protection keeps it safe. On Thursday nights, Lucas sits at the bar and lets Kamara educate him about wine. He listens to her explain terroir and tannins, and the art of food pairing with the same focused attention he once used to plan someone's destruction. "You're different here," Kamara observes one evening, pouring him a 2016 Barbaresco. "How so?" "Lighter. Like you're not carrying the weight of your empire." "That's because, here, I'm not the head of the Vitelli family," Luca says, accepting the glass and inhaling its bouquet. "Here, I'm just the man who loves you." Kamara's hand freezes on the wine bottle. "You love me?" "Desperately," Luca confirms without hesitation. "Completely. In ways that probably aren't healthy but are entirely genuine. Is that okay?" Kamara thinks about the handprint that's finally faded completely, about the restaurant that shut down, about the wine bar with her name on the door, about Thursday nights that turned into every night, about loving a dangerous man who's only gentle with her. "Yes," she says, moving around the bar to slide onto the stool beside him. "That's very okay. Because I love you too." Luca sets down his glass and pulls her close, kissing her right there in the wine bar they built together. Customers smile and look away, giving them privacy, understanding that this is more than a business relationship or a casual affair. This is the sommelier and the mafia boss, the woman who was slapped and the man who destroyed an empire in response, the brilliant woman who earns respect and the dangerous man who demands it for her. "What are you thinking?" Luca asks against her lips. "That I should send Gianna a thank you note," Kamara says. "Why?" "Because if she hadn't slapped me, I'd still be working for her. I wouldn't have this place. I wouldn't have you." She pulls back to look at him properly. Sometimes the worst moments lead to the best transformations. "Philosophy from a sommelier," Luca teases gently. "Philosophy from a woman who learned that safety isn't the absence of danger," Kamara corrects. "It's being with someone whose danger is deployed on your behalf. Someone who asks, 'Who slapped you?' and means it. Someone who destroys restaurants by morning but builds wine bars by afternoon. Someone who's terrifying to everyone except me." "I would burn this entire city down for you," Luca says seriously. "You know that, right?" "I know." Kamara kisses him again. "But I'd rather you just keep coming here on Thursday nights and letting me educate you about wine." "Deal," Luca agrees. "Though I reserve the right to destroy anyone who disrespects you." "Deal." Kamara echoes. And in the wine bar with her name on the door, surrounded by bottles from around the world, the sommelier and the mafia boss sit together and prove that sometimes the most dangerous men make the safest havens. That protection can look like violence when necessary, but gentleness when possible. That asking "Who slapped you?" with lethal intent is its own kind of love language. The handprint faded, the restaurant closed, the wine bar opened, and Kamara Williams, brilliant sommelier, finally found a place where her excellence is celebrated instead of exploited, where she's valued instead of victimized, where she belongs to a man who asks her preference on bold versus elegant wines, who listens when she speaks, who builds instead of just destroying, a man who shut down a restaurant by morning because someone dared to slap her, a man who's hers.